Chapter 8 Variation in Tactics. Overview. This chapter discusses how generals must handle situations flexibly and adaptively according to specific circumstances, rather than rigidly following tradition and risking failure. Furthermore, it outlines specific demands on commanders during warfare. Sun Tzu emphasizes that when dealing with problems, commanders must: first, consider both the advantages and disadvantages. In favorable situations, be aware of potential downsides. In unfavorable situations, seek possible advantages. Second, adopt different competitive strategies according to differing objectives. Third, stand on a foundation of thorough preparation, making yourself impregnable, and avoid wishful thinking. Fourth, overcome extreme emotions and consider problems comprehensively, prudently, and calmly. Only by adhering to these can one gain the advantage of the terrain and make effective use of people. Sun Tzu believes that commanders must act based on actual conditions to defeat the enemy. Therefore, orders from a sovereign that contradict reality may be disregarded. He boldly proposed the famous military saying, "Sovereign's orders may sometimes be disobeyed." The 9 adaptations refer to the need for mobility and flexibility in warfare, adjusting tactics according to terrain and enemy conditions. Sun Tzu stresses that no strategy or plan can be separated from flexible adaptation. One must change with the situation and not cling to old rules. Only those who truly understand the benefits of 9 adaptations can achieve victory. 1. The general's judgment beyond orders. Sun Tzu said, "In the art of war, when a general receives orders from the sovereign, mobilizes the people, and leads the army into the field, do not encamp in difficult terrain, entangling ground, in crossroads terrain, intersection ground, seek alliances with neighboring lords. Do not linger in isolated terrain, critical ground, in surrounded terrain. Devise clever strategies to escape. In desperate terrain, fight with unyielding resolve. Not every road must be taken. Not every battle must be fought. Not every city must be attacked. Not every advantageous position must be seized. Not every royal command must be carried out to the letter." These are the principles of strategic discernment in warfare. Reflections. Because battlefield conditions are constantly shifting and highly complex, Sun Tzu emphasized that commanders must act in accordance with the terrain, the situation, and the momentum, responding with flexibility and adaptability rather than rigidly following tradition or routine. He also stressed that different battlefield environments, such as difficult ground, intersecting ground, desperate ground, encircled ground, and death ground, require tailored strategies to ensure survival and success. At the same time, Sun Tzu believed that all military decisions should be made with the larger picture in mind. When encountering minor or local objectives that do not affect the broader strategic goals, a wise commander should resolutely choose not to engage, not to attack, not to contend, and not to advance unnecessarily. In short, only by making careful and flexible strategic choices can a commander ensure certain and complete victory. 2. The one who adapts wins. Therefore, a general who understands the value of strategic adaptation is truly skilled in warfare. If a commander fails to grasp the importance of flexible response to changing conditions, then even with a deep knowledge of terrain, he cannot fully exploit its advantages. And if he leads troops without mastering the art of adaptation, then even an understanding of tactical advantages will not bring out the army's full potential. Reflections. 9 variations represents the principle of flexible and adaptive military operations, adapting to the terrain, enemy situation, and other changing conditions. Sun Tzu repeatedly emphasized this idea, believing that no strategy or plan can succeed without situational adjustment and dynamic execution. One must adapt to changing momentum and never rigidly stick to a fixed plan. Only those who truly understand and apply the benefits of the 9 variations can win the war. In Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Chapter 62. This principle is vividly illustrated. When Liu Bei entered Jiaming Pass at Liu Zhang's invitation to resist an invasion by Zhang Lu from Hanzhong, tensions later rose when Liu Bei's request for funds and horses was rejected. Caught between advancing and retreating, Liu Bei consulted his advisor Pang Tong. Pang Tong offered 3 strategies. The top strategy is to send elite troops on a forced march to launch a surprise attack on Chengdu. The middle strategy is to pretend to return to Jingzhou, then capture and kill the generals Yang Huai and Gao Pei who come to bid farewell, seize Jiaming Pass, take Fu City, and then strike Chengdu. The bottom strategy is to retreat to Baidi City and return to Jingzhou overnight to reconsider future plans. But hesitation here will lead to great losses, and there will be no remedy. Liu Bei, after careful thought, concluded, the top strategy is too hasty, the bottom one too slow. The middle one is workable. He followed the plan, seized Fushui Pass easily, captured Luocheng, took Mianzhu, and advanced directly to Chengdu. Pang Tong was wise in strategy, and Liu Bei was decisive in action. Their careful analysis of local conditions and swift, flexible decisions led to ultimate victory. 3. Seek advantage in adversity, guard against risk in success. Therefore, a wise general always considers both the advantages and the dangers of every situation. In unfavorable conditions, he identifies opportunities, thus enabling great undertakings to succeed. In favorable circumstances, he remains alert to hidden dangers, thus avoiding potential disasters before they arise. Reflections. Sun Tzu advocates that commanders should analyze problems by weighing both advantage and disadvantage. Everything is a unity of benefits and harms, and understanding their interconnection is crucial. The concept of interweaving gains and losses means, in favorable conditions, one must still identify and prepare for hidden dangers. In adverse situations, one should actively seek out potential opportunities. When analyzing problems, commanders must avoid bias and one-sided thinking. Like all things in the world, war is dual in nature. Both sides of a conflict face a mix of advantages and disadvantages. Since seeking gain and avoiding loss is a common law of warfare, the ability to dialectically grasp the interplay between benefits and risks is an essential leadership requirement. A wise commander must overcome one-dimensional thinking. They must recognize both strengths and weaknesses, see opportunities without ignoring risks, avoid being overly optimistic or overly pessimistic. If a leader only sees the gains and ignores the dangers, the disadvantages may grow and ruin the outcome. If they focus only on the risks and ignore potential advantages, they may lose the confidence and drive needed to achieve success. Therefore, a commander must have holistic awareness, understand how benefit and harm interact and transform into each other, and be able to capitalize on the favorable while guarding against the unfavorable, ensuring preparedness before threats emerge. 4. Threaten with harm, tempt with profit. One must threaten rival lords with what they fear most to force them into submission. One must entangle them with what they perceive as dangerous to compel them to follow our commands. And one must lure them with profit to make them carry out our will. Reflections. Here, Sun Tzu emphasizes that different strategic goals require different strategic methods to make the enemy submit through harm, to exploit them through labor, or to entice them through benefit. This principle is vividly illustrated in the historical episode following the Battle of Yiling, when Liu Bei died in Baidi City after suffering defeat. Taking advantage of the situation, Wei ruler Cao Pai, following Sima Yi's advice, launched a massive campaign against Shu, gathering 500,000 troops and dispatching them along 5 military routes. Cao Zhen marched on Yangping Pass. Meng De advanced on Hanzhong. Eastern Wu mobilized elite forces toward the gorge entrance into Shu. Meng Huo, the king of the southern tribes, led forces into the 4 prefectures of Izhou. Ku Binin, king of the northern tribes, stirred the Chong to attack Shiping Pass. Their goal was to intimidate Shu into surrender through overwhelming military pressure. However, Zhuge Liang implemented precise countermeasures tailored to each front. He assigned Ma Chao to defend Shiping, knowing his popularity among the Chong would cause them to retreat without fighting. Wei Yan deployed ambushes deterring Meng Hua with the threat of entrapment. Li Yan wrote to Meng De, prompting him to feign illness and halt his advance. Zhao Yun fortified the passes and successfully resisted. Chao Zhen, as Eastern Wu observed the failures of the other four forces, it chose not to engage. This opened the way for a renewed alliance against Wei. By exploiting the specific weaknesses of each route, Zhuge Liang applied measures such as enticing with gain, threatening with danger, or dividing with diplomacy. He disintegrated the enemy force without a major battle, neutralizing an enormous threat with strategic finesse. 5. Relying not on the enemy's inaction but on our own readiness. Therefore, the proper way to conduct warfare is this. Do not rely on the enemy not coming, but on your own readiness and strength. Do not hope the enemy will not attack, but make yourself so powerful and prepared that the enemy dares not act. Reflections. In this passage, Sun Tzu presents the concept of being prepared for the unexpected and not attacking where it is unwise to attack. He emphasizes that one should never place hope on the enemy not coming or not attacking, but instead rely on full preparation, making oneself invulnerable and unassailable. This is a forward-thinking approach to warfare, showing strategic wisdom far above the ordinary. History proves that whether in peace or war, victory comes to those who are prepared. The essence of being prepared for the unexpected lies in knowing both the enemy and oneself, the very core of Sun Tzu's assertion. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you will not be imperiled in 100 battles. Before battle begins, one must fully assess both enemy and self, weigh the key conditions, and make informed decisions. With proper preparation, success becomes inevitable. To know the enemy but not oneself, or vice versa, leads to blind action. Your weaknesses may become the enemy's opportunities, and your misjudgment may expose you to their strengths, making victory uncertain. The Huainanzi states, "A good general first puts his own house in order, then seeks to defeat others. He prepares to be unbeatable before seeking victory." To attack another's chaos while one is still in disarray is like fighting fire with fire or flood with flood. How can it succeed? The Zhuan similarly advises, without preparation for the unforeseen, one cannot go to war, and with preparation, there is no defeat. These are timeless reminders of the necessity of foresight, risk assessment, and winning before the battle begins. This principle, using preparedness to counter unpredictability, is vividly illustrated throughout. Romance of the Three Kingdoms. At the Battle of Red Cliffs, Zhuge Liang set up 3 ambushes. The first led by Zhao Yun, the second by Zhang Fei, the third by Guan Yu. Cao Cao's forces, already exhausted and wounded, were caught in successive attacks. After barely escaping Zhang Fei, Cao Cao reached a fork in the road, a long, flat main road and a shorter, treacherous mountain path. Scouts reported smoke along the mountain path and no signs of activity along the main road. Believing it safe, Cao Cao chose the mountain path. His army, hungry and fatigued, struggled through the steep terrain. Suddenly, on horseback, Cao Cao burst into laughter. His generals asked why. He said, "They say Zhou Yu and Zhuge Liang are brilliant strategists, but they are nothing more than fools. If they had hidden troops here, we'd be finished." Just as he finished speaking, a cannon blast thundered, and 500 blade-wielding soldiers sprang forth, with Guan Yu at their head, astride the red hare and wielding the green dragon crescent blade. Panic spread through Cao Cao's troops. He said, "Now we must fight to the death." But the men were too exhausted to fight. Cao Cao cornered, bowed from horseback, and greeted Guan Yu. "General, I trust you have been well. Guan Yu replied, by order of the strategist, I have awaited you here. Cao Cao pleaded, in the past, you received my favor. I ask you to repay it today. Guan Yu replied, I already repaid your kindness at the Battle of Bema by slaying Yan Liang and Wen Chou. Today's matters are public, not private. Cao Cao reminded him of the time he allowed Guan Yu to leave after passing 5 gates and slaying 6 generals. As a man of honor who values loyalty and integrity, surely you won't forget the past. Moved by old loyalties, Guan Yu ordered his men to step aside, allowing Cao Cao to escape. If Guan Yu had acted purely out of public duty, Cao Cao would not have survived. This example demonstrates the very essence of Sun Tzu's doctrine: prepare for what the enemy may not expect. Throughout history, wise generals have embraced this principle, never fighting unprepared, never striking without certainty. The Art of War in 100 Words states, when unanticipated danger arrives, panic disrupts planning, and defeat follows. In all risky endeavors, preparation must be complete with both fixed and contingency plans. Only then can one remain calm and unshaken in crisis. This reaffirms the truth. Preparation is the foundation of success. In warfare, with its randomness and complexity, readiness is everything. In modern conflicts, far more complex than in ancient times, commanders must adopt this mindset. The more one anticipates and prepares, the greater the likelihood of victory. 6. The 5 dangers every general must avoid. Therefore, a general faces 5 dangers. Those who rely solely on brute force will be killed. Those who are greedy for life and fearful of death will be captured. Those who are impatient and easily angered cannot endure setbacks. Those who are too upright and self-respecting cannot tolerate insult. Those who care for the people so much that they shield them bring trouble upon themselves. These 5 dangers are the faults of the commander himself and the hidden hazards of warfare. The destruction of the army and the death of the general all stem from these 5 perils and must not be overlooked. Reflections. Sun Tzu lists 5 dangerous tendencies a general may possess: courage without strategy, clinging to life and fearing death, impulsive temper, excessive pride, and loving the troops as his own children. These traits, though seemingly virtuous, can be exploited by the enemy, used to entrap, deceive, or destroy the commander. Take loving the people as one's children as an example. Liu Bei was a paragon of this trait, but it nearly led to disaster at a critical moment. After losing Xiangyang and fleeing to Jiangling, the people cried out, "Even if we die, we wish to follow you." Liu Bei, moved by their loyalty, refused to abandon them, despite advisor Jian Yong's pleas to move quickly. Traveling with over 100,000 civilians, the army crawled at a pace of just 10 miles a day. Crossing the Xiang River took especially long and hampered military operations. Cao Cao took advantage of Liu Bei's slow advance, launching a fierce pursuit. Liu Bei's forces fell into chaos. Commanders and troops were separated, families torn apart, and casualties mounted. Lady Mi threw herself into a well. Zhao Yun had to rescue the infant heir alone, and Zhang Fei held off enemies at Changban like a desperate man. Liu Bei's excessive compassion, misguided in execution, ultimately brought harm to both people and army.